Next up, we are going to get into DDG, who is quickly approaching friend of the channel territory.
Quickly.
This is the second time in I think as many months that we have discussed this guy, and he's unmuting. I think he cannot bear the weight of his breakup, and as a result, he's just exposing himself on the internet. And I don't think he's making himself look very good. But nevertheless, it is something that we can use to discuss greater issues affecting us all, I would say. So this says DDG wishes he was a deadbeat. DDG is stressed out. It's been a busy year for DDG. For one, the YouTuber and rapper navigated his first year of fatherhood following the arrival of his son with Halle Bailey, Halo. He proceeded to announce he and Bailey's breakup in October and has since gotten into a bit of online drama with the Little Mermaid actress. He's also been a frequent target for online criticism. This is usually based on his parenting skills or his former relationship. Apparently, all of this has started to weigh heavily on DDG based on a new tweet. Recently, he took to X to vent and to joke that his life would be much easier if he didn't have so many things going for him. According to him, this makes him a magnet for hate, which he's had enough of. Being handsome, rich, and good. Let me start over. Being handsome, rich, a good dad, and successful is stressful. Shit come with unnecessary hate and judgment for no reason. I wish I was a broke, ugly, deadbeat dad. You N-words got it easy. Fans are sure that both Bailey and Halo are glad things are the way they are. They can't blame DDG for feeling frustrated, however. So here's this tweet there on X.
Well,
Yeah, being handsome, rich, a good dad, and successful is stressful. I didn't know this. That is news to me. After all, the 27-year-old recently admitted that he hasn't moved on from his ex yet, despite rumors that he might be romantically involved with someone new. He was spotted getting up close and personal with baddie star Anna Mac for a video shoot, leading to rumors that they were more than just collaborators. DDG quickly shut those rumors down, however, making it clear that he's focused on his family for the time being. According to him, he'd be willing to have more kids in the next few years with the same person, as he doesn't want to have children with multiple people. No, I'm not dating, he explained at the time. I haven't moved on. At the time of writing, Bailey is yet to address his remarks. So this guy, Mr. DDG, appears to be going through it. He broke up with his girl, but apparently he's not over his girl. And he says that being a good-looking guy who's successful and a good dad is actually stressful, and that he wishes he was ugly and broke and a deadbeat dad, because then it would be easier. What do you make of these comments, man?
boy, very short-sighted, very self-absorbed, and immature. This is what is he getting at with this? Hey, bro, if you thought you was catching criticism before, here's some more. Okay, here's some more, DDG. Now, on our last topic that we covered, he was pretty much talking about, what I'm saying, him being in, in the dating pool, him being in the matrix, and just you got to be on, you got to be popping, you got to have all this stuff going for yourself in order to to have a woman be loyal to you or whatever. So it sounds like now him being on and popping and all these other good things, it sounds like that's not good enough either. It sounds like that's also a miserable life. Now, this guy is definitely taking his life to the internet. He's bringing all his struggles for everybody to watch and consume. And the more he speaks, the more young and immature he sounds. 27 though, should have a pretty good grasp on things at that point.
Exactly.
I thought this kid was like 22, but bro, you're pushing 30, dude. So you've been around this planet for a while, and a statement like that again is just very short-sighted. honestly, when it comes to stuff like this, you know, being a deadbeat, first of all, being a responsible human being is never easy. And so what was you, bro? And because the only thing you said there is that, hey, I'm trying to be responsible, and irresponsible people have it easy. I would beg to differ, because, well, they technically have it easier because they're not doing the same amount of tasks, but irresponsible people have their own demons that chase them, which is why they're irresponsible. They're runners from responsibility, which also haunts them. So I think you would rather be on the side of being a responsible person, taking care of your business, and deal with that stress instead of dealing with the stress of running away from actually doing the right thing. But some people would also argue that this guy's a deadbeat. You know, even though he's taking care of his child. Look, just because you're taking care of your kid don't mean that you're on point either. Now, I'm not going to judge this guy for parenting or anything else, but you know what I'm saying? Just because you're taking care of your jit, there's more to being a good role model than, you know, just making sure there's enough diapers and milk, and, you know, you're there to hug the child or whatever. Also part of this stuff, man, is making sure that you're providing them with a non-deadbeat worldview. And honestly, bro, that's a deadbeat ass worldview that you provided. The irony of it all. So, yeah, I don't care for this statement. Anybody that's running around here calling themselves good looking is weird. That's weird too, bro. Like, I can't get with none of this stuff that you're saying, bro. So, and I don't even want to throw people in his cohort under the bus for having a, you know, this is just him saying something ignorant. So I don't co-sign this, DDG. I'm sorry. Even for a young person that's living in the matrix, this isn't gospel. This is dangerous rhetoric. But what are your thoughts, man, on DDG saying that being young, fly, and handsome and taking care of your child is hard work? What are your thoughts, man?
I think he needs a reality check. You know, I'm reminded of, I keep bringing it up, but man, the more we talk about some of these topics, the more admiration that I have for some of the comedians that I grew up on, who were talking about this stuff 20, 30 years ago. And it still goes on. But Chris Rock, once again, I think it was Bring the Pain when he was talking about black men, and he's like, you want credit for something you're supposed to do,
right?
Like, I take care of my kids. Like, you don't get credit for that. Exactly. That's your job. You're supposed to do that. It sounds like he's trying to curry favor on the internet for things that he is inherently responsible for. Agreed. And it's like, bro, no one's going to give you sympathy for that. But this is today's modern man, unfortunately, unwilling to accept responsibility for the plight that he finds himself in due to the decisions that he made willfully. I have no sympathy for this guy. I didn't have any sympathy the last time we talked about this. I have no sympathy for him now. These individuals are out of their minds. And the reason why we broach these topics is because there is danger inherent in the possibility that there are other impressionable people, more specifically young men, who listen to guys like this and say, yeah, he's got it figured out. No, he doesn't. He's an idiot. Okay. He sounds like somebody who doesn't know who he is. Yes. And there are a lot of humans in general, not just men. There's men and women who don't know who they are. And before they figure out who they are getting into relationships and marriages and having children. And then when they haven't been able to reconcile not knowing who they are with the fact that they now have this monstrous responsibility, they can't handle it, and they self-destruct. And the first recourse that they can think of is removing themselves from that equation. So a lot of times for us men, when we can't reconcile not knowing who we are with the fact that we now have a family to take care of, a mouth to feed, a spouse or a partner or a mate to be responsible for, we decide that we are just going to get out of it. So here comes the divorce, or here comes the irreconcilable difference, or here comes the breakup. But you still want to be a part of your kid's life, so you're going to tangentially do that and try to handle all of your responsibilities. But you know for a fact that you kind of have one foot in and one foot out, because you started this whole thing because you did it not knowing who you are as a person. And one who is watching this video might ask, well, what do you mean JV wins? What do you mean he doesn't know who he is? I'll explain to you what I mean. DDG, because I know you and I have a mutual friend that this reminds me of. I won't mention his name. You know who I'm talking about. And I know other guys who do the same thing. So, these are guys who want to be in the streets and want to be casual daters and want to sort of conquer and sow their oats by maintaining as many sexual relationships with as many different women as possible. But they somehow also believe that they want to be married and want to raise a family and want to do commitment. Those two notions are, of course, counterintuitive, but they nevertheless walk around believing in this duality and thinking that they can somehow pull off both, even though they know they can't. So before they can get to a point where they understand and accept who they truly are, they're either having a child or falsely committing to a single individual. And by the time that ends up running its course, the relationship disintegrates and they end up getting out of it. Now, if you can get out of that before you have a child with this person, that's the best case scenario. However, more often than not, before these guys come to terms with who they are, they end up dropping these jits. They end up having these children, and now they find themselves in a toxic co-parenting relationship. And what ends up happening is they end up blaming the woman for the fact that this is now the kind of thing that they find themselves involved in. Well, dude, if you knew who you were and you didn't drop this jit because you understood that you still want to be out in the streets, you probably wouldn't be dealing with a toxic co-parenting setup. Maybe y'all would have had some sort of a casual short-term thing that would have went on for a certain period of time. And after that, you get out of it and y'all part ways and move on, but there wouldn't be a child involved. But because you wrestled with this duality for as long as you did, now you're a single dad and you're a baby father and you're dealing with a baby mama who doesn't think very fondly of you because you sold her a bag of goods, bro. You sold her a bag of goods. And too many of us guys do this, man. We really need to stop this. Like, look, bro, if you want to be in the streets, be in the streets. I'm not even sitting here saying don't be in the streets. I'm not trying to tell people what to do with their lives. I'm just saying you got to be honest with who you are. And you have to make sure that you communicate that honesty to the people that you deal with. I don't know these two people from a can of paint, but from an outsider's perspective, it looks as though she felt as though they were going to be building something and he had other plans. That's what it looks like from an outsider's perspective. Now, if that's not the way it is, I feel, go ahead and correct me if that's not the way it is. That's fine. But it looks as though she got with this guy and they had a child together and she was probably thinking, oh, we're going to actually do this family thing. And it looks as though he still wanted to be in the streets. Maybe, maybe not. The fact of the matter is, if you don't drop your seed in the first place, none of this happens and you're not dealing with this. And something tells me you know for a fact whether you are the type of person who is ready for that in your life, even at 27 years old. And to ignore that little voice because you're trying to simultaneously balance this dual nature within you of being a guy who's out in the streets trying to be lit and popping, to use his own words, but also trying to raise, a nuclear family unit with this person who would rather you not be in the streets, is going to lead to self-destructive results. And at the end of the day, when you can't reconcile those self-destructive results, you find yourself on Twitter saying nonsense like you wish that you were a not good-looking, broke, deadbeat father. As if that makes sense.
That shit weird, bro.
So like that's what, like, are people supposed to read that tweet and say, wow, that makes a lot of sense?
Bro, that shit had like 17,000 likes. So some of these kids was enjoying that.
I suppose so.
That's the scary part.
Yeah, but that's where we find ourselves, man. You know, people need to know who they are. This guy doesn't know who he is. He sounds like a confused person to me. He sounds like a confused individual who I'm pretty sure he loves his child. I'm pretty sure a lot of these guys love their children. I'm pretty sure a lot of these guys who do the same thing as him love their children, would do anything for their children, want to take care of their and be a part of their child's life, but also at the same time say, my reality sucks. And it's like, well, if you knew who you were and you took that approach into these types of arrangements, you wouldn't find yourself miserable with where your life has gone. You would have made a different choice. This is not going to be an op-ed on, because we all do this. We all do this. But this is, you know, dissecting what he said there because it doesn't make sense. It sounds like gibberish. And whether people believe this dangerous rhetoric or not, I agree with you. That is a problem. But be that as it may, this to me is gibberish. And it sounds like the ramblings of a lost soul who doesn't know who he is. And he is taking to the internet to try and gather his online community to help him figure out who he is. Because thus far, he hasn't been able to figure it out for himself. And being unable to figure it out for himself has led him to being a part of a family structure that I think if he had it to do over again, he wouldn't elect to be a part of.
Yeah, you know, and I agree, man. You know, people just got to learn how to, you know, just charge it to the game, man. Everybody wants things their way, how they want it, when they want it, and that's not life. That's not how life goes, and that's not how life goes in the grand scheme of things. Now, if you decide to be out here and to be out here, you know, got a roster full of people, or you do have an old lady, but you still doing your thing on the side, or ladies, if you have a dude and you still doing your things on the side, you got to charge whatever comes with that to the game because you're playing it. And when the game comes and collects its tax, you can't sit here and cry foul.
You got to pay it.
You got to pay that.
Yeah.
Nobody says you got to pay it with a smile on your face, but just pay that and keep moving because you're in this game that's going to tax you. So for this dude here, who, as you mentioned, he just doesn't know where he's at. He doesn't understand his coordinates. If you don't know who you are and you don't know what game you're playing, of course you're going to sit here and cry foul like this. You don't know where the hell you're at. Bro, you're not just in the game. You're in the industry in the game. So that's a whole nother woe is me that, you know, the average person doesn't have to deal with when they're playing the game. But now you're playing the game where everybody knows your name. Everywhere you go, you're going to have some little groupie girl hollering at you or DMing you or whatever the hell. And so you're out here just playing the game. It's nothing safe for him. So for him to be like, oh yeah, you know, whoop de whoop, I wish I was. Hey, bro, that's just corny, bro. It's just corny. It's a weird sideways flex too, which is like, who does that, dude? But again, man, yeah, man, when you scroll this kid's IG, bro, you can see his lostness all over him.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, you can see his lostness all over him, man. He didn't know what the hell he's doing. He's being a rapper.
Yeah.
And so everything he says is rapper. And it doesn't says whoever he is as an individual. This person is, unfortunately, DDG. Whatever the hell that means. So he is a crystallized version of a rapper. So even if there's something that he feels he has to say or he says or whatever, it's like what a famous rapper would say. It's like, well, what are your thoughts? You know, what do you think about what Columbus did in history? And he doesn't care about any of that stuff. This guy's out here just, you know, so for him to have Bailey or whatever, that was him having one of the baddest chicks in the game. That was nothing to that. There was no substance behind that because he was doing the rapper thing. So now that he has a child and he wants to be there for his child, nothing wrong with that. But he's doing it like a rapper. There's an image of his child with a stack of money on his head, just sitting at the baby looking crazy. But he just put a stack of money on the baby head and took a picture of it and uploaded it to the gram for everybody to look at his child looking crazy. I felt sorry for the baby. So I was like, man, yeah, you're there being a father, but what kind of fathering is this? No, he got money on his mind. I'm going to show him how to get to the money. And it's like, no, you're showing him how to be a rapper. And in your last post that we covered, and in this one, it doesn't sound like the best lifestyle to live. But he's leading them right down there. So this guy here, as you mentioned, bro, he doesn't know who the hell he is. He just grew up in the wave. He is the wave. So everything he experienced is wave. That tweet was wave. You know, as you mentioned, just trying to garner sympathy from people out there that's like, whatever. And, you know, I'm pretty sure all his fans or whatever was like, man, that's tough. I feel that, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel that because I ain't ugly. You know what I'm saying? I'll take care of my jit, but my baby mama going crazy. Like, okay, well, where'd you meet your baby mama? Okay, how much money did she ask you for on your first date? You know, how did all that stuff go down? Were you being loyal to her the whole time? Was she being loyal to you the whole time? You know what I'm saying? It's like a whole background story to why this situation ain't right. And that's why you got to charge that to the game. And last thing I'll say is part of charging things to the game, man, is just being ready to accept consequences for your actions. And right now, whether you're somebody that wants to be a rapper or the average everyday person out here that's just fleeing from accountability, nobody wants to be okay with whatever responsibilities comes with their actions. And so this is just a testament to it. So that 17,000 likes is from 17,000 people who don't care for their own responsibilities.
Oh, sure. Yeah, for sure.
So,
yeah.
Hey, man. So that's what I'm saying, bro. We in traffic with these people. No wonder they're going crazy. You know?
Yeah, I know. It's wild. But I mean, but he I've heard this a lot, man, in passing. He sounds like something I've heard all too often, which is the man who cannot reconcile his duality, and it causes tremendous confusion. That's what he sounds like, because he's said publicly in the past, you know, I just pulled up a more sound bites from him before. He said, no, I'm not dating. I haven't moved on. You know, basically saying he hasn't moved on from the woman who he had the child with, Miss Bailey. Y'all don't even know I'm just working, bro. I know people be weird with me on the internet and my relationship. Maybe in like the next 2 to 3 years, I don't want to have kids with multiple people. I feel like that's just too much. Like, what are you talking about? So on the one hand, you're saying you got to be lit and you got to be popping so that you can get a girl and know that the dude who's more popping and more lit can't take your girl from you. Correct. But then you're also saying you're not over your previous relationship and that you don't want to have kids with anyone else because it defeats the purpose. And so which is it? Like, which is it? Which one? Because I'm fairly certain the woman who you had a child with thought that you were just lit and popping enough for her, but apparently that wasn't enough. So which is it? And a lot of us guys are really confused out here. I truly believe that we are confused. Women are confused too. Women are confused, but as I've said many times before, in my opinion, a woman's confusion is less consequential because a woman is essentially waiting on a man who knows what he is to give her what she wants, which is all of that flowery stuff, commitment, you know, ideally monogamy and a family and all of that kind of stuff. If she's a woman who fancies those kinds of things, like for all of a woman's confusion, if a guy steps correct to her and is like offering that, her confusion doesn't mean anything. But for guys, the confusion is more consequential because until we reconcile that confusion, we'll continue to make all the wrong decisions. So he just sounds like one of us out here, one of the many amongst us out here who doesn't know who he is and he's confused. Do you want to be lit and popping and out here getting with whatever you're doing in the industry? Or do you want to get back with the woman who you've already openly admitted you're not over and you've already said you don't want to have kids with anybody else with? I don't understand. Which is it? And in human society, it is a man's responsibility to stand firm on principle. Like that's a man's responsibility to know what he's doing, know what he wants, and help rear and guide, his partner and future generations in the right direction. So if you yourself don't know who you are, you're guiding those people in the wrong way. But this is where we are with this stuff. And he feels emboldened to make these weirdo statements online because this internet manifesto out here where people are just dug into their echo chambers think they can just say whatever they want and get a pass for it as if it makes sense. None of what he's saying makes sense. And to any of you guys out there who thinks that this makes sense, you should listen to somebody else because none of this makes sense. I hope he figures out who he is.
He won't.
And I hope that I hope he figures out who he is. And I hope that discovery gives him the clarity that is required of him to make the kinds of decisions that he needs to make so that he does not find himself doing this kind of stuff in the future. For his sake, I hope he figures it out. And all the other men out there, I hope y'all figure it out too. There are various aspects of my own dual nature that apply, not in this respect. I'm not on this kind of stuff, but we all got to figure it out in some kind of way because a man knowing who he is far more consequential, in my opinion, than a woman knowing who she is. Not to diminish women in any kind of way, but when it comes to this whole relationship thing, it's more important for men to know who they are. So I hope he figures it out because if he doesn't, he can say all day long that he doesn't want to have another kid by someone else. But while he continues to be wayward, it is entirely on the board that he nevertheless will do that.
100%, bro. And and last thing I'll say is, bro, just quit crying, dog. You know what I'm saying? grow the hell up, man. You know what I'm saying? Just grow up, dude. When I was 27, bro, you know what I'm saying? I don't know if I cried like this. This is crazy. Just grow the hell up, man. Own up on your responsibilities. If you are taking care of your child, as I mentioned before, man, be a good example. But don't be sitting on the internet crying like that. That's a horrendous example. And so, and anybody else out there, man, that's sitting out here that's DDG defenders because you know what I'm saying, you was born in a particular generation. I'm not attacking y'all, man. I'm attacking this guy. And our lesson here is, again, just own up to your responsibilities and figure out who you are, man, as a person. And it's not what the internet thinks of you. It's not what the internet perceives you to be or how you perceive to be on the internet. It's who you think you are, man. It's that little you that you always grew up with, that you always tried to protect. Get in touch with that, man, and be honest with that. And be a responsible person, man, because this stuff right here, this guy's showing you how to be an irresponsible human. And I don't stand for that, man. This guy's parading around like a knucklehead right now. So tisk DDG. Yeah. But I already know he's gonna say something else silly down the line. We're gonna cover it here at the Conscious.
Yeah, he needs to figure it out. Yeah, for sure. Definitely. What was I going to say? Yeah. Everything that you said there, and I will also add, even though it's not too late, of course, but preferably try to figure out who you are before you become a parent.
Yeah.
Figure out who you are before you start having children, because it is only going to exacerbate your lack of knowing who you are when you start to have a whole nother life to be responsible for.
Lord have mercy.
She whiz, bro.